Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in Major League Baseball, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab of pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Wednesday in baseball. First up, we got the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Washington Nationals. We got Logan Allen and Mitchell Parker as the projected starters. Now, in the last couple of weeks, the Guardians have struggled against left-handed pitching, and it's been a pretty small sample size, but the concern for me the most is the high strikeout rate, above 30% in those last 2 weeks against lefties. And, Mitchell Parker's not in the best form, but he's pitching at home where he's been better in his career, and I think it's a good spot for him to bounce back. And I also think that the lineup's going to back him up against Logan Allen. He does have some significant regression concerns. You add to the fact the Nationals have been solid against lefties in the last couple of weeks. I think it's a good spot for Washington, at least in the first 5 innings. So I'm going to take the Nats in the first 5 innings on the money line. Next up, the Houston Astros taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. We got Framber Valdez and Quinn Priester as the starters. Now, I've mentioned I do think the Brewers are a little bit underrated right now, but I don't love this matchup for them. I do think it's a pretty lopsided pitching matchup in favor of Houston. Even though Framber's not had the best start to the season, I think it's a good spot for him against the Brewers team that, while they've been improved a little bit in the last couple of games or last couple of weeks against left-handed pitching, they're still overall this season a below-league average lineup against lefties. I think Framber has the ability to bounce back in this start, put together a strong outing. And on the other side, you got Quinn Priester, who was pitching pretty well in his first couple of games, but has regressed quite a bit in the last couple of starts, giving up 12 runs in his last 2 games, and the Brewers are just 1-4 in his 5 starts this season. So I'm going to go with the Astros in this one on the money line and run line on the road. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. We got Mitch Keller and Sonny Gray as the starters. Now, Sonny Gray struggled in his last start against the Mets, but I think he bounces back here against a team in the Pirates that he's pitched pretty well against the current Pirates hitters in about 95 plate appearances. Sonny Gray with a 30% strikeout rate, a low 4% walk rate, and a low xWOBA at 288. So I think he has a good outing, a bounce-back start here. On the other side, Mitch Keller has struggled a little bit recently, and the Pirates have lost his last 4 starts now. He doesn't have the best numbers against the current Cardinals lineup with a 452 expected slugging percentage, a little bit low strikeout rate as well, and 170 plate appearances. I think the Cardinals can get to him, and this Pirates lineup has really struggled. They just haven't been able to score consistently, so I'm going to go with the Cardinals on the money line in this one. Next up, we got the San Francisco Giants taking on the Chicago Cubs. We've got Ben Brown and Robbie Ray as the starters. Now, Robbie Ray's been the better starting pitcher this season compared to Ben Brown, but even with Brown's struggles, the Cubs are still a winning record at 4-3 in his 7 starts. It goes to show you how strong this Cubs lineup is, and while I don't love the Cubs bullpen, I just think that the lineup is big advantage in this game. The Cubs have been strong against lefties from the beginning of the season, especially in the last couple of weeks where they're top 10 in OPS and ISO. I think Robbie Ray can put together a decent start, but I'm not sure if the Giants can back him up offensively enough to win this game. So I'm going to roll the Chicago Cubs in this one on the money line. It's also worth noting, Robbie Ray against the current Cubs lineup, not great numbers. He's also not been great on the road this season with an ERA above 5. He's been a lot better at Oracle Park. So give me the Cubs in this one on the money line. Next up, we got the New York Mets taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Kodai Senga and Merrill Kelly are the projected starters. Now, Merrill Kelly does not have the best numbers against the current Mets lineup, but he's in great form right now. We know he struggled in that start against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. It's the reason why his ERA is still where it is, but his last 5 starts, he's been a completely different pitcher. He's given up 2 runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. And when you look on the other side, Kodai Senga faced the Diamondbacks in last week's series at Citi Field. Merrill Kelly did not have to pitch in that series, so I give the advantage to Kelly because we mentioned it's very, very tough for starting pitchers to face the same lineup in the same week twice. And Senga in that start against the Diamondbacks in Citi Field, 4 innings. He only went 4 innings. He had 6 strikeouts, only 1 run, but 3 walks, 5 base hits to go with it, and the pitch count was way up early. Ended up being a Diamondbacks win, and I could see a similar situation. Senga's got good numbers against the current Diamondbacks lineup, but I think he struggles in this one, especially with his control. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks in this game on the money line. Next up, we've got the Seattle Mariners taking on the Athletics. We've got Gunnar Hoagland and Brian Wu as the starters. Now, Hoagland pitched really well in his Major League debut. It was a great start. 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, no walks to go with it. He did give up a home run and 6 hits overall, but still a really sharp outing. I do worry about him, though, a little bit in this spot. It's his first start at home in the Sacramento ballpark in Sutter Health Park. And when you look at the Mariners' offensive numbers compared to the Marlins, I mentioned the Marlins have certainly been better offensively than expected, but they've still been nowhere close to the Mariners' offense this year against right-handed pitching. And I think it's a tough spot for him against Seattle. And you got Brian Wu on the other side, who's been pitching really well. You got a solid Mariners bullpen. I just think it's a good spot for Seattle. We're getting a decent price because of Oakland being a good pitching prospect, pitching well in his major league debut, and the A's being home. I'm going to go with the Mariners in this one on the money line on the road. Next up, we've got the Miami Marlins taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We've got no official starter right now for LA, but Valente Bayozo should be going for the Fish. I think it's a tough spot for Bayozo. We saw him struggle in that last start against the A's. 5 runs and a home run with 4 walks to go with it in just 4 2/3. He only had 1 strikeout in that game as well. And now you're facing the Dodgers. That was against the A's. You're facing one of the best lineups in baseball now. And I think when you look at Bayozo in the minor leagues and so far in the major leagues, somebody that doesn't really miss a lot of bats. Sometimes the control can be an issue. He does give up a lot of fly balls, too. He's not really keeping the ball on the ground. It would be one thing if he was a pitch-to-contact guy that limited sharp contact and kept the ball on the ground, but his ground ball percentage is one of the lowest in baseball to start the season, both in the major leagues and the minor leagues. So I just think that it's a tough spot for him against a really good Dodgers lineup. I'm going to roll the Dodgers on the run line on the road. In our next game, we have the Rangers and the Red Sox. Tyler Mahle and Tanner Houck are the projected starters. Now, the problem for the Rangers this season, we know, has been the offense. Tyler Mahle's been excellent, but even in his last 3 games, where he's given up just 3 runs combined, the Rangers are 0-3 in those games somehow because they lost 1-0, 3-2, and 3-0 final. And I think Tanner Houck's a lot better than his current ERA. It's above 6 right now, but he's been excellent at Fenway Park. He's missing a lot of bats recently, and his strikeout numbers are starting to pick it up. His control's been a lot better. 1 walk his last 2 starts combined. I think that the Red Sox certainly have a bullpen that can compete with the Rangers. I think the Red Sox lineup is a lot stronger, so I got to roll the Red Sox in this game. I think Mahle's been excellent. I do think there are some regression concerns with this game with less than a strikeout per inning. The walks are a little bit steep, but I still think he's a great option. I just don't think he gets a lot of run support. So give me the Red Sox in this one on the money line. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Christopher Sanchez and Shane Baz are the projected starters. I like both of these starting pitching options from a long-term perspective, but in this particular matchup, I got to roll with the Phillies. Baz has struggled at Steinbrenner Field. His last game there against the Royals, 7 runs, a home run, 3 walks to go with it in just 5 2/3. And when you look at the Rays against the lefty and Sanchez, the Rays have been dreadful against lefties pretty much overall this season, but especially in the last couple of weeks. Sanchez has got good numbers against the current Rays lineup. I think it's a good spot for Philadelphia. I think they'll be able to find a few runs off of Baz. And while the Phillies' bullpen's been tough to watch at times this season, I think it'll be good enough here. So I'm going to roll with the Phillies on the money line on the road. In our next game, we have the San Diego Padres taking on the New York Yankees. We've got Dylan Cease and Max Fried as the starters. Now, it's a concern for me to see Dylan Cease really not going deep into ball games. We've seen him go less than 6 innings in all 5 of his last 5 starts. And while the earned runs on paper aren't too shabby, 2 runs apiece in his last 4 games combined, the pitch counts have really gone up in his outings. His strikeout numbers have been there, but his walks have also been a problem. 7 walks given up in those last 2 starts combined, and that was against the Rays and the Pirates, not necessarily the best lineups in baseball. Even before that, against the Astros, he only had 5 innings. Now you're facing the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. You don't already have the best numbers against the current Yankees lineup. Not the worst, but a little bit high expected slugging percentage at .428. Pretty low strikeout rate in terms of Dylan Cease's standards, 21%. It's about league average, but for Cease, you're looking at 25 plus, and then walk percentage above 14% as well. Aaron Judge is a home run against him in his career. I just think it's a tough spot for Cease, and with how well Max Fried has pitched, I know he also doesn't have the best numbers against the current Padres lineup, and the Padres have hit lefties pretty well this season, but he's in great form. I think he's going to be good enough for the Yankees to win this game. I'll take the Yankees on the money line and run line. Next up, the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Atlanta Braves. Hunter Green and Grant Holmes are the projected starters. Now, I've mentioned that we saw Hunter Green have an amazing start to the season. He's still pitching really well this year, but he was absolutely dominant in those first few starts. And then we saw him give up the 5 runs against the Orioles, 3 home runs to go with it. Gave up a couple of home runs at Coors Field against the Rockies. And then his last game, he was excellent against the Nationals, 6 innings, 1 run, 12 strikeouts. But yet again, another home run given up. So it makes it 6 bombs given up in his last 3 starts combined. And when you're on the road against a Braves team, it's got some power in the lineup, that's for sure, and a Braves lineup that's done pretty well against Hunter Green in the past. I think it's a tough spot because I think Grant Holmes, while his name on paper doesn't necessarily seem like an ace-level starter, we saw him pitch really well in his last game against the Dodgers, and that was a Dodgers team that got to him in the beginning of the season. But Holmes is, next time facing him, 6 innings, 2 runs, 9 strikeouts. He was excellent in that game. He just didn't get the run support. He's not going to get a ton of run support, in my opinion, in this game against Hunter Green, but I think it'll be enough. I think that the Braves can find a couple of extra base hits, potentially home runs against Hunter Green in this start to coast to victory. And we're getting a really good price with the home team in Atlanta because of the pitching matchup on paper looking so lopsided. I really don't think it is. I think it's an even matchup. I like the Braves. I think their bullpen's superior, and they're playing at Truist Park, so give me Atlanta on the money line. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Minnesota Twins. We've got Dean Kramer and Simeon Woods-Richardson as the starters. I'm going to lean towards the over in this game. I don't love the matchup for Woods-Richardson, even though he's been better at Target Field. I also really was concerned with his last start against the Guardians. 5 walks given up and a home run to go with it in only 4 2/3. I think the Orioles, who have been a lot better against righties than lefties, will be able to get to him. But I also think the Twins can get to Dean Kramer, who has struggled on the road with an ERA above 8. He was really sharp in his last game against the Royals, but that's not a great Royals lineup, and he only had 2 strikeouts through 7 innings. Gave up a lot of fly balls. I think he could be in trouble a bit in this start. I'm going to roll with the over in Orioles Twins. Next up, we got the Chicago White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. We've got Jonathan Cannon and Michael Wacha as the starters. I think this game could look a lot like the first game of this series, which was a 3-0 low-scoring win for KC, in which they covered the run line. I think they could win this game and cover the run line again, but I don't think Jonathan Cannon gets shelled. He's got pretty good numbers against the current Royals lineup, albeit a low strikeout rate to go with it. He's in solid form overall, and I still don't love this Royals lineup against right-handed pitching. It's been one of the weaker lineups in baseball, though there are some signs recently that we see them starting to heat up a little bit with the sticks like that Orioles series. And I think that, Michael Wacha's got great numbers against the White Sox lineup. He had a really good outing against the Orioles, even though it was a tough spot at Camden Yards against a tough lineup in Baltimore. He pitched well in that game, and in his 80 career matchups with the current White Sox lineup, good strikeout rate, low walk rate, low xWOBA at 290. I'm going to go with the Royals on the run line and the under in this one. Next up, we got the Blue Jays and the Angels. We got Yusei Kikuchi and Jose Barrios as the starters. I've mentioned the Blue Jays have been solid against left-handed pitching this season. Kikuchi has not really done the best job recently with his control, and that's why I worry about him a little bit. He's got good strikeout stuff. He still has a decent 4.2 ERA on the season with a sub-2 ERA at home, but the Angels are 1-4 in his last 5 games, and 3 of those 4 losses were sizable losses: 4-0, 5-1, 10-4. I think he gave up 2 home runs in his last start against Detroit. You got Barrios on the other side, who's been a winning machine for the Blue Jays. They're 4-1 in his last 5 starts. I think it's Toronto's game here. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays on the money line on the road. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium, and there is a link in the description. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.